Okay, good night. Not good night. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021 Design Review Commission. We have a roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Krelling.
Here.
Commissioner Gorney.
Here.
Commissioner Valia.
Here.
Vice Chair Case.
Here.
And Chair Killian.
I'm here. All right, pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, City Commissioners may participate via teleconference. Teleconference locations are not open to the public pursuant to California Governor's Executive Order N-29-20. If you'd like to participate in tonight's meeting, the Zoom meeting ID is 918-9375-4931, and the login password is 115951. If you'd like to join us by the telephone, the number is 1-669-900-6833. So with that, item number 2 is the consent calendar. We do not have any items tonight on that. So we're going to move into item 3, which is public communication. This portion of the meeting is for anybody in the audience that'd like to make a comment on an item that's not on tonight's agenda. Go ahead and raise your hand and we'll acknowledge you.
We're looking good. I think we're looking good, Mr. Chair.
Okay, seeing no public communications, we'll move on to item 4, public hearings. Tonight we have one project. It's the new exterior paint to 2033 North Main Street building within the Ignatia Center Design Review. And do we have a staff report?
Good evening, commissioners. Let me load the slides. Okay, for the record, my name is Simmer Gill. I'm an assistant planner with the City of Walnut Creek, and we are here tonight to discuss the proposed new exterior paint finishes to the building located at 2033 North Main Street. Design review application number Y20-036. As you may note, this project was heard before this commission in July of 2020 for exterior upgrades to the 1990 North California building that's located within the Ignatia Center campus. And new paint finishes were proposed for all of the buildings. I will go through a few slides just to reintroduce the project and go over the change that has occurred since you last saw it. The project site is known as the Ignatia Center. It consists of 4 multi-story buildings and a large centralized parking garage. The surrounding area consists of retail and office uses, and the exterior paint finishes are proposed only for the building that's located at the corner of Pringle Avenue and North Main Street and is addressed 2033 North Main. And just a little background, on July 1st, 2020, the Design Review Commission approved the proposed architectural improvements to the existing breezeway entry along North California Boulevard. And in the plans, this was identified as building YC1, and the 2033 North Main building was identified as YC2, and then the 2001 North Main building was identified as YC3, in case you hear me saying that as we go down the presentation. And here is a rendering that basically shows the approved entry and color scheme for the 1990 North California building. The same base colors as Swiss coffee with some cream undertones was proposed for both of these buildings as well. And we are here tonight because there was a condition of approval, number 3 of the approved resolution, that stated that the applicant shall return to DRC for review and approval of a different color scheme for these 2 buildings, apart from what was painted on YC1. DRC was not supportive of the unified color scheme of all 3 buildings in the last DRC hearing, so it would become too monotone and ask the applicant to return with a different color scheme. The applicant has chosen a slightly different color for 2033 North Main building and is seeking final approval tonight. The applicant has also decided to leave this building, the 3rd building, YC3, in its original paint for now. And here are existing photos of the building located at the corner of Pringle and North Main Street. It's currently painted a white color with gray and beige undertones. And as you can see on this photo, on these renderings or photographs, it appears a bit dirty and is in need of fresh paint. So the applicant was proposing to paint this entire building the same Swiss coffee, with the cream undertone color, same as YC1. However, both staff and DRC recommended having a different color scheme for each individual building just to provide visual interest to the site. And also because the different color scheme will help set each building apart within the campus. And to comply with condition number 3, the applicant is proposing this lighter and cleaner color, which is off-white. It's called commercial white. It has a slightly gray undertone than the current gray and beige white color of the existing building. And it's also a little less creamy white than the paint that we just previously approved for building YC1. Medium gray accent color has also been included just to reduce the excessive use of white on this building. The gray accent color will be applied to all of the building elements that are closer to the street, such as this recess entry area of the building that faces Pringle Avenue, and also the 2nd floor balcony walls facing North Main Street, and then all of the exterior concrete planters that you see all along on the exterior, just so the color would provide some sort of visual interest to the building and break up the excessive use of white. Staff does support the new paint finishes as it avoids being identical to the other buildings within the campus. And if you see on this rendering, you can see that existing building that will remain in its original color. It's cream, it's like a creamy with some pink undertones. And then it also has gray metal panels. And then if you look over here, the building 1990 North California, which we just previously approved the color scheme. I'm not sure if this rendering really depicts it properly, but there will be a slight difference in color. And then I think the applicant has provided color swatches for both the commercial white and the Swiss coffee color. So that way they're available tonight so we can compare the 2 colors to see if they actually differ. I believe this is more white, this is more cream. So we'll have a look after the presentation. And here are the photos of the existing building that's located at the corner of Ignacio Valley Road and North Main Street. It is currently painted a cream color. Again, it gives off that pinkish hue, and then you can see the gray, the metal panels on the upper and some vertical elements. The building's color already is significantly different compared to the other 3 buildings within the building YC2, and it also continues to maintain a fresh appearance. And with that, staff recommends that the DRC approve the exterior paint finishes to the building located at 2033 North Main Street for application number Y20036. And that's all I have for the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Sure.
The rails that we see that happen on the balconies, are those painted the same white as the, the commercial white that we're seeing?
Yes, the railings will be painted white.
Okay, and it's the same white to match.
I believe so. We
Okay,
could confirm that with the applicant, but yes, I believe so.
okay. Thank you.
And Joseph, you're muted. Go ahead and unmute there.
Wow. Okay. Summer, when you said it's less creamy, is this like a whiter white? I know that Swiss coffee is kind of a little off-white. So you're saying this is like a brighter white on this building?
More of a brighter white, and I think it has a little bit of a gray undertone, and versus the Swiss coffee, which has more of a creamy, yeah.
And then Ken had mentioned something about seeing the two colors next to each other. I don't know if we have that on.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I believe we do.
We're ready. Matt's loading it up. Hang tight.
Sweet. Yeah, I see a difference there.
That's what I said.
So
So,
glad we have that.
yeah. So,
That is, and that's the bad thing about Zoom hearings, that, when it comes to the materials and the colors, it's just so difficult to show it.
and I'm here in person, and I can tell you that they're very close. But the one on the left is the Swiss coffee, little bit creamier. The one on the right is the proposed color for 2033 YC2, and that is a bit more brighter white. So they're similar, they're not exact, and we can certainly have paint swatches painted on the building ahead of time for like a subcommittee review or whatever.
We actually have a condition of approval, number 2, that states that we'll provide mock-ups. Yeah.
Thank you.
The dark accent gray, sorry to jump in, but when we see the sample, is the dark accent gray the same? They look a little different.
The dark accent gray that's used on 1990 North California versus this building.
I think that's what we're seeing, right? Because there's the yellow and the orange and the gray.
Yeah, the yellow, the yellow and orange shouldn't have been included. That's for the 1990 building. Yeah, but I think.
Similar, are those two grays the same though?
I would have the applicant confirm that.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure on that either.
I believe the color swatches are the same gray, but we can check that with the applicant.
Okay. Sorry, Joseph.
Has anyone in staff actually seen the actual paint colors, or you're still going just by the images as well so far?
I have them right here, Charles. They're right here in the council chamber, so I've seen them, and they're very similar, but not exact.
Do you feel that when they're on the buildings, you'll see a distinct difference between the kind of the creamy versus the gray white?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, the samples together, it's gonna be a little tough, but yeah, the YC2 building we're talking about is brighter. That's all I can tell you.
And I also believe, I think if you see it outside, right, in the daylight, I think the colors may actually distinguish from itself, but seeing them in a certain lighting conditions are probably going to look very similar. Yeah.
Sounds like it'll be really good that we can all go see paint on some walls.
Okay, any other questions for Sumer? Okay, if the applicant's here, they can join us, and if you'd like to make a presentation, if you could introduce yourself first, please.
There it goes.
You hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
There we go.
Good evening, commissioners. Okay, I'm trying. Sorry, we don't use Zoom that often, so I'm a little unfamiliar with it. Yeah, so if you'd like, I can make the. Let me. Sorry, just trying to share. Okay, share screen. My apologies.
If you could introduce yourself while waiting, that would be great.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Sergio. I'm with Studio G Architects. I'm the architect working on behalf of the building owner on this project. I believe we've all met before on the 1990 North California project. Yeah, so we went back and we took a look at while working through the previous comments, the intention of the project was to provide, as was mentioned earlier, the existing building is it's painted this kind of gray, beige, white paint, and it's getting kind of old. It's been a while since it's been repainted. And then there was the comments of it kind of matching the same as the other buildings on site, just a lot of white on white on white. So in this second round, we chose a white paint. I know with the Zoom call, it's a little hard to see in that, and it's also just hard to see necessarily when you have the two swatches in front of each other, like under just like interior indoor lighting. But when you put them outside under the sun, and we can provide the mock-ups. We already have some mock-ups in the field for the 1990 building with the cream color, and we can provide some for this. So you can really see on a larger scale with texture on a textured surface, with the sun hitting it in actual daylight conditions and shade and such, they start to read differently, a little bit more pronounced than you would see on the, just kind of in person or indoors with just little tiny paint swatches. And then to that point, I think they are a little bit different. The proposed one for this 2033 North Main, as was mentioned, has the gray undertones as opposed to the cream colors. So we were trying to strike this balance where we're trying to keep them a little different, but we're still trying to work with the ownership and their desire to have something where they felt the existing building is just a little bit too dark, where the white kind of brightens it up and a little bit happier and cleaner looking, and plays off the kind of the metal accents at this lower floor entrance. You can kind of see right here. So if there's any
jump in and maybe foreshorten this. I don't think, unless I get disagreement, this format is the best way to make this decision. And it appears you're willing to paint in the field. So unless the commissioners have completely different ideas, can we just acknowledge that we'll go out to the field once you paint them and we can decide and come back? Because I don't know what we can really accomplish tonight. Looking at this, we all may agree that you're going in the right direction, but are we all acknowledging that until we see it in real life, we don't know what we're getting?
I definitely concur with you, Brian. I mean, it's so difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's not spend time asking questions. We're all going to come to the same conclusion unless I get some disagreement that we're going to say, paint it in the field, let's go out, take a look at it and come back. Is that a fair assessment of where we're at now?
Yeah, in general, though, I like to just say that I do like the idea of adding the darker colors into the entry and those other areas. I think it kind of, because right now it's all one color. So I do want to support the idea of using that gray color in the insets the way they do. And I did have a question for the applicant, which was just on the railings, and maybe something Casey was alluding to earlier. Has there been any thought of doing something different with the railings other than the same white? Just a question. So those are my two things. I think this building is different enough that doing it in white makes it very different than the other one with the squares and with the colors in it. So I think if we're down to just which white it is, then we can do that in the field. But I did want to comment on the insets in gray, and I wanted to ask the question about the railings.
And let me add that full commission may not be aware, we had a science subcommittee on this building, and as an art mural, they will be adding color. And on this particular building, on the soffit going into the entry, there will be some, or kind of a mural with some flying birds in black and a kind of a sunset below it that will add a splash of color at the entry.
Good.
And again, that's just for the rest of the commissioners, information. So.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
And,
Yeah.
and I would just add in really quickly to add to Joseph's question on the rails. I was actually going to ask as well, would the gray look better on the rails than the white? And I also do like the gray being added to the building. I think that adds a nice contrast.
Yeah, I got to say, I like the white in contrast with the gray. I think the gray, I like seeing the line of the railing, especially on the street elevation. I mean, if it was me, I'd probably do it in red, but that may just be too much for the rest of the commission. But I was just wondering whether there was any thought on that.
Yeah.
Or even a metallic paint to match the metal parts. I mean, just to make it connect to other parts of the building.
Yeah, so on that note, we did study it kind of using like the gray chart, what was used at the street level, some kind of variation of that on the railings to kind of accentuate it. There was, I believe back, this was a while back, kind of when the project initially kicked before even the first review meeting, DRC meeting here. I think the ownership preferred the white just to kind of keep it, they're not as fond of the railings and didn't want to make it stand out as much, but with using such a dark accent, so the white was kind of to let them go back into the background and let them match the curvature, those kind of swooped curves on the building. But the metallic paint to tie to kind of like a Matthews paint or a Krynar to tie into the entrance could be, may not be as busy as putting such a stark dark, like this kind of medium gray we see here at the bottom. That might be an interesting, we haven't looked at that particular color, but that is an interesting thought. But for now, I know the preference, I believe, was to keep them white for now. Okay. And as was mentioned, we are doing a mural, kind of pop of color, kind of bring some life back to this entrance. And that kind of pop of color with some of those sunset colors will kind of tie back around, just a subtle nod to the 1990 North California building and some other locations, I believe that was discussed in the mural package.
Okay.
Throughout the campus.
The direction I'm kind of trying to push along because I don't think in my mind either we have enough information and we'll approve it and he doesn't have to come back, or we want to see it in the field and there's really no point in kind of beating it to death tonight.
I personally would approve it, but I'd like to see the colors in the field.
In the field, okay. Do we have any direction then from the commissioners that they'd like to see different railings painted different colors or anything to make sure that the applicant knows exactly, what we're looking for, or just paint what he's proposing and we give him a yay or nay?
I'm okay with what he's proposing.
I am too.
Okay.
Me too.
Are we okay enough to say okay tonight then? Or do we want to see it in the field?
I think I think all these major large buildings, we should see the samples in the field just because. Although I will say again, because of the different shape of this building, I'm okay with the commercial white. I would just love to see a swath on the building as a final nod. It's too big a building not to do that.
Yeah, I think we should.
All right.
See it in the field.
Okay, I don't want to cut anybody off, but I was going to make a motion, then we'll continue this to the field unless I want to give everybody a chance, and we'll open up to the public too. So I don't want to rush this too much to where I'm, if any of the commissioners have more questions or other concerns.
Nope.
Can I ask a question? I just want to confirm. So in the field, do you want both colors painted, the Swiss coffee and the Just the white itself?
I'd like to see them both because it's going on the other building. So I'd like to see
Exactly,
at least a
Yeah.
swatch of it.
I would too.
Just wanted to confirm that.
And then I'll just jump in the renderings that you see, the railings, the backdrop of those railings from the street level is dark. So if the railings were painted dark, they may in fact just disappear. So I didn't know if that made any difference to you or not. Also, if we have the item come back, we can put that on the next available, well, the next available meeting maybe, and put that on the consent calendar if that's agreeable.
Can we do it like we did the other one where we just do a subcommittee and look at it in the field and say yay or nay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I'd rather not see it come back.
that's the way the resolution reads, as a subcommittee would make a determination in the field.
Well, at this point, let me open up to the public hearing in case anybody in the audience would like to make a comment on at this point.
We're not getting any emails or hand raised, so we can proceed, Mr. Chair.
Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing again.
Now, Casey and I were on the subcommittee for the colors on the other building. And so I would be willing to stay on that since we were looking at the other building together. So.
Yep, I can do that as well.
Okay. I will make a motion then that we continue this to the subcommittee where they can, well, we all will have a chance to go out in the field and make comments, but really the subcommittee then will be forwarding their decision on to staff. And then it goes to the consent calendar. Is that the process?
Well, we've got two avenues. One is to approve it as is proposed tonight with subcommittee review in the field, or we can have the paint swatches put up and we can continue this item and put it on consent calendar for the next meeting.
I prefer it doesn't come back. I'd be okay with subcommittee only and approving it tonight.
Okay. Charles?
I am good with subcommittee approving it.
Carlos?
I think that's the way, yes. It doesn't deserve any more meetings.
Okay. And Casey, I guess you're still willing to stay on the subcommittee?
Yep.
Meeting? Okay. I'm fine with that too. So let's go in that direction.
Okay.
Charles, you want to be part of that committee?
I don't want to, I don't want to feel selfish because I'm already on signed subcommittee, and I think I'd just be being too selfish. But I mean, if when you go out to look at the swatches, if I could tag along if I'm available, I'd just like
Sounds
to
like a
see
good
it.
idea. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that a Brown Act issue?
Yeah, it's a Brown Act issue. So
Okay, then I defer to Joseph and Casey.
okay, Mr. Chair, we will need a motion and a second then on this motion on the decision to approve.
So I'll make a motion that we approve this subject to the color subcommittee going out and approving it, and they will make the final decision.
I'll second that.
Okay, can we have a roll call?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Killian,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorney,
Yes.
Commissioner Krelling,
Yes.
Commissioner Valia,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Case.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you. And Simar, we did we squash some of I didn't really look that carefully at your language in the resolution. It may be a little bit late asking that question, but.
No, I believe it basically addresses exactly what you said. We're going
Okay,
to provide mock-ups,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, the exterior paint.
Okay, item number 5, commission considerations.
There are none, Mr. Chair.
Item number 6, commission member and staff reports.
Think, Ken?
Anything
I-
from the commissioners?
I just want to bring up, I think 4 people are ending their terms this time next year, including, I think, 2 of us that are terming out. I think Brian and I are both terming out. So I know sometimes it takes a while to get people to come in and do this commission. And I got a couple people that were sort of interested, but they wanted to watch some meetings. So I may encourage them to chime in on some of the meetings. But a year seems like a lot of time, but it isn't. So
I'll double check. I don't think, I think there's only one commissioner up, and that's your spot. Is that right, Joseph? Yeah.
Okay, but I know that everybody, several people are ending their 4 years. Hopefully they'll re-up, but if they don't, then we need more people. So,
I'll double check and I'll get back with everybody on that. That's a good point.
yeah, Brian, are you in your second? I could have sworn I saw online that you.
I don't know where I'm at, to be honest with you.
Online says you're second.
It just, every meeting is just wonderful, you know, and
We signed up, Brian, for 20
For
years.
life.
I think we agreed on 20 years on the 20-year plan, Brian.
yeah, I
I'm
think
on the
so.
20, and I'm done. I've done 20.
Last signed subcommittee.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
Brian, I think you took over for, who did we lose?
Michael,
Michael Fotheringham.
yeah.
And you finished out his term, and then I think you're on your first term right now.
okay, good.
Ken, the website shows Brian as his second term.
Yes,
Your second?
that's what I
Yeah.
saw online. Mhm.
Maybe that's not right, but that's just what it's showing online.
Probably not right.
Yeah, I can't lose my science subcommittee partner.
Well, if that's what it says, Charles, you know.
You know, hey, it's on the internet. It must be true.
That's right. Okay, any other staff reports?
But yeah, I'll get back to you on who's in, who's out at the next go around. But remember, March 3rd we'll be voting for a new chair and vice chair. Just keep that in mind. And yeah, Joseph, I know. I think your term is just about up. So whatever we can do to re-up you for the next 20 years.
Oh, that would be a deal.
I'm in my 21st year, so I said I would do 20 years. It's a third of my life, so.
I know.
But you know, our lifespans are growing, so you know.
Okay, do we have any other commissioner reports or announcements?
Who's going on Friday to the Zoom meeting with the city? Casey, are you in that one? Brian, are you in that one? Isn't Friday the
I
quarterly?
think that was last week, I
It was
believe.
last Friday.
Did you both do it or either?
I
one?
went.
Did you get your pancakes?
I did not.
Ah,
It's the best.
Yeah,
part.
it's still, I got excited about these meetings when it said breakfast, but it's
Right.
just on Zoom.
Nope.
But Casey did a great job. I did watch the meeting.
Oh, good. Thank you. It's a hearty meeting. Lots of
Thank you.
fun stuff.
Yeah, Casey did a great job. Thank you, Casey. And yeah, Charles, if you're ever interested, let me know. You're welcome to pop in too, because we can have two representatives there. So, but yeah, we went through some of the items that we've been looking at the last few months, and it was just good to touch base with everybody.
Yeah, I think I did one of the meetings when Casey and Brian were not available, and I'm always happy to be a backup if one or the other can't make it.
Okay.
Especially if we get food and coffee.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay, with that, let's go to item number 7, adjournment.
Thank you.
See everyone
Brian.
at the next meeting.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you, guys.
guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.